I used to believe that leaving was the hardest part, that once I walked away, the pain would end and life would quietly return to what it once was. I didn't know that the real battle would begin in the silence afterward, inside my own mind. I thought distance meant freedom. I didn't yet understand how deeply abuse can live in your thoughts long after the person is gone. He thought he understood his mind, but what he didn't know was that a resource existed that could help him rebuild his life. You'll find it in the description and comments. At the time, I didn't know I was entering the most difficult phase of all, recovery. The relationship did not end with closure. It ended with confusion, with unanswered questions, with 1,000 moments replaying in my head. I remembered the love bombing, the intensity, the promises that made me feel chosen. And then I remembered the gaslighting, the blame shifting, the emotional coldness that arrived whenever I needed empathy. My mind kept trying to reconcile two realities that could not coexist: the person I thought I loved, and the one who slowly dismantled my sense of self. How do you grieve someone who never truly existed? In the beginning, I felt empty, not just sad, hollow. I questioned everything: my memory, my judgment, my worth. Simple decisions felt overwhelming. Trust felt dangerous. I was free, yet I felt more trapped than ever. Because narcissistic abuse does not only wound the heart, it fractures identity. It teaches you to doubt your feelings, to minimize your needs, to accept distortion as normal. And when the relationship ends, those lessons remain. The emotional aftermath was relentless. Waves of anxiety, sudden guilt, a haunting urge to explain myself to someone who had never truly listened. I found myself defending their behavior in my own thoughts, rewriting what had happened to make it hurt less. I senti it terrifying how the mind can cling to a story, even when that story is what nearly destroyed it. The breaking point came not from pain, but from exhaustion. One night, overwhelmed by the constant self-doubt, I asked myself a question I had been avoiding. Why am I still trying to make sense of someone who never made space for my reality? That was the moment I understood that healing would not come from understanding them. It would come from reclaiming myself. Recovery was not dramatic, it was quiet. It began with boundaries in my own mind. I stopped rereading old messages. I stopped seeking validation from the past. I started educating myself about narcissistic abuse, trauma bonds, intermittent reinforcement, gaslighting, emotional dependency. And suddenly, my experience had language, patterns, structure. I wasn't broken. I have been conditioned. The realization was both painful and liberating. Painful because it forced me to accept how deeply I had been manipulated. Liberating because it returned agency to me. I was not weak. Rebuilding myself meant learning who I was without someone else defining me. I relearned how to trust my instincts, how to say no without fear, how to sit with discomfort instead of running back to familiarity. I surrounded myself with people who did not require me to shrink to be loved. I created routines that anchored me in the present, and slowly my nervous system began to feel safe again. There were setbacks, moments of grief, days when I missed what I thought we had, but I no longer confused longing with truth. I asked myself difficult questions. Why did I stay when I felt invisible? Why did I confuse intensity with intimacy? Why did I abandon my own needs to keep the peace? And instead of shaming myself, I chose compassion. Because survival is not a flaw, it is a response. Recovery from narcissistic abuse is not about becoming who you were before. It is about becoming who you were always meant to be, without distortion, without fear, without negotiation of your worth. I learned that healing is not linear. It is layered, it is quiet, it is built in moments where you choose yourself, even when it feels unfamiliar. Today, my life is not perfect, but it is mine. My thoughts no longer orbit someone else's approval. My emotions no longer require permission. I trust what I feel. I honor what I need. And in that, I found something I never had before: internal peace. Not because the past disappeared, but because it no longer controls me. At the end of his journey, he discovered guidance in a resource that helped him face anxiety and rebuild his life. You can access it too. The link is in the description and comments. Healing is not about erasing what happened. It is about transforming it into awareness, strength, and self-respect. And when you finally step out of survival mode, something extraordinary happens. You stop rebuilding your life around the damage, and you start building it around your truth. True freedom begins in the mind and only then appears in life. If this story resonated with you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and continue this journey with us as we uncover toxic minds and rebuild stronger ones together.